Good evening to everyone, and welcome to our May DeKalb Young Democrats meeting. We hope that everybody is staying safe out there. We have just a few announcements, and then we'll get started with our House District 83, 84, and 86 forum. So our first announcement is that early voting has started. On our Facebook page, you will find a list of all of the early voting locations. For all those that have voted by mail, thank you so much. And for all those that are still waiting on your absentee ballot, please email absenteeballot@dekalbcountyga.gov for any help or assistance. I was on the phone with an organizer this week from Fair Fight, and she actually mentioned that DeKalb County is doing excellent with processing our ballots. So applause to our Board of Elections, to DeKalb Democrats, and to all the staff and volunteers that are spearheading these efforts. We say thank you. Secondly, please join DeKalb Young Democrats. We are your first stop in DeKalb County politics. Our members are the age 39 and under, and you're able to purchase a membership for your family, for friends, for neighbors online. So just go to dekalbyd.org/join-us and you can buy one for your whole family. Thirdly, we ask that you please do donate, whether it's $10, $100, or $1,000. Anything will help in our efforts to train the next generation of DeKalb leaders. For that, go to tinyurl.com/donate-DYD. Again, that is tinyurl.com/donate-DYD. So now I will introduce our awesome moderators for this evening. You have myself, Cindy Thomas. I am the president of DeKalb Young Democrats. Next, you have Dejan DaCosta. He is the District 6 school board member for DeKalb County Board of Elections. Hi, Dejan. Then we have Parker Short. Parker is the former president of High School Democrats of Georgia. We have John Jackson, chair of DeKalb Democrats, and we'll have Sam Lame, secretary of DeKalb Young Democrats as well. And hopefully we'll be able to host a after show, which Sam will lead. All of the House candidates in these districts were invited. The candidates have had an opportunity to review the rules prior to the debate. All House districts will be featured all together, and we'll actually ask a district-specific question to each candidate. Each candidate has 1 minute to respond to the questions, and you have 30 seconds if for any reason your name is brought up. As everyone knows, DeKalb Young Democrats is a place of learning, and it's a launch pad for those 39 and under that want to get involved in this process of politics or that are already involved. We have been around since the 1980s, and we continue to be a home base for just, some of the most influential leaders in DeKalb. So to start, we will actually have former DYD president and current chair of DeKalb Democrats, John Jackson, to tell us a bit more about the role of a state rep. And then that will be followed by an introduction of our candidates. All right, John, I'll kick it over to you.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you for inviting me back to DeKalb Young Democrats, where I always feel at home. I want to go into what a state house representative is. It's the legislative branch of the state government, is known as the Georgia General Assembly. It contains two deliberative bodies of lawmakers that create bills. One is known as the Georgia House of Representatives, which our candidates are running for tonight, and the Georgia State Senate, also known as the State Senate. They're elected to 2-year terms every 2 years on even years. And if a bill gets a majority in both houses, it becomes law if the governor does not veto it by a certain date, or the governor signs it into law before that designated date. DeKalb County is represented by 16 state House districts and 7 state Senate districts. The entire DeKalb delegation are members of the Democratic Party. Tonight we have incumbents and challenging candidates in 3 DeKalb County State House districts. As I said before, we have many in DeKalb. If you have more questions about State House representatives, let us know via Facebook. We have DYD members monitoring the comments. So let's meet the candidates in alphabetical order. From House District 83, we have Representative Becky Evans. And we also have Audrey Maloof. From House District 84, we have Harmel Codi. And we also have Representative Renitta Shannon. From House District 86, we have Dr. Ladena Bolton. Representative Michelle Henson. Zulma Lopez.
And Zulma is having trouble joining. We're trying to get her, but she'll probably join in just a few minutes.
And Joscelyn O'Neill. Welcome, everyone. We're happy to have you. And for me, myself, it's great to be back at DeKalb Young Democrats.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. So we will go ahead and get started, and we will begin with opening statements from the candidates. So let's start strong, ladies. And just one side note, I just want to say that I am so grateful to have this really great group of women that are here. It just shows how there is some great progress. So I'm just so excited to hear everyone, because we're just all winners, and I'm just excited about this. So in this statement, briefly tell us who you are, why you're running, and one main issue that you will fix and how. You will have 2 minutes for this. We will start with House District 83, and then 84, and then 86. So we'll start it off with Rep. Becky Evans.
Great, good. Thank you so much, Cindy, and thank you so much to the DeKalb Young Dems for hosting this forum, and for all of you out there that are taking the time to watch this. I'm Representative Becky Evans, and I'm incredibly proud to be running to represent the beautiful and unique DeKalb neighborhoods, running from Ellenwood to Woodland Hills at the Georgia House in the June 9th Democratic primary. I'm a wife, mother, nonprofit co-founder, 28-year DeKalb County homeowner, 18-year volunteer with DeKalb Public Schools, and a reformer and a fighter. And I'm running on re-election to build on my work at the State House, to improve healthcare by fighting to expand Medicaid, and to keep pushing to fully fund our schools. I have a vision for our community where all the neighborhoods are healthy and prosperous and thriving, where everyone feels safe, and where the rights of all individuals are respected. I was sworn in 17 short months ago, and I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished together, fully funding our kids' schools for 2 years in a row, giving the teacher pay increase, $3,000 teacher pay increase, pushing for clean energy, working on racial reconciliation, and I'm so, goodness. Yeah. I'm sorry. Building safer schools with new infrastructure and fighting for more transparency and accountability. But the job's not done. The number one issue that our community is facing is the impact of COVID-19 on our families, our businesses, our jobs, our schools, and eventually on our state budgets. It funds our schools and our first responders. That's why it's more important than ever that we build and maintain open communication, and we have a list of priorities against impending budget cuts, which will add insult to injuries that our community is trying to handle. I look forward to continuing to build the better Georgia together. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job, Becky. Now we will have Audrey Maloof.
Thank you so much for having me today. Like Cindy said, my name is Audrey Maloof, and I'm running to represent Georgia's 83rd district. I also want to second Cindy in that this panel is all women. That is just so awesome. My name is Audrey Maloof, and I'm running to represent Georgia's 83rd district. I want to start by giving some insight into my background that has built me into who I am today. I come from a family of Lebanese immigrants that dedicated themselves to family and helping their neighbors. I was raised by a public educator and a female business owner who taught me that my only job in the world is to leave it better than I found it. I am here to do just that. I have a breadth of professional experience and have had the privilege to have Congressman John Lewis as a boss and mentor along the way. All of my experiences in life and professionally have shaped my perspective. It has been clear to me for a while now that we need a younger perspective at our Capitol. So many of the laws being passed today directly impact the generations to come, yet we do not have an adequate say in how those laws are being written. I want to give a voice for my generation, as well as the generations of those who have educated me, led me, and encouraged me to run for office. We all deserve a voice. I am a native of DeKalb County. I have been a student in the public schools in this district. I attended a public university in Georgia and relied on the Hope Scholarship to graduate debt-free. I grew up in the era of school shootings. I have been a student on a public university campus in Georgia since campus carry was passed. I cannot afford to live in the city that I grew up in. My body has now been regulated by our state. Because of issues like these, I'm prepared to represent this district with the passion and fearlessness it deserves. When elected, my top priority is to protect the rights of voters in Georgia because every issue stems from that. If people are not able to accurately give their voice, they are not able to have accurate representation in our state. And that is where I would like to start.
Awesome. 2 minutes exactly. Thank you so much, Audrey. Now we will go on to House District 84, and we will start with Harmel Codi.
Harmel, you're on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right, good evening, young and not so young Democrats. Thank you so much for the invite. My name again is Mel Codi. I don't want to bore you with a long intro. You can always visit my website at www.harmelcodi.com. But I must say I've been in this community for over 2 decades. I have supported all efforts to improve and to keep DeKalb County strong. As a concerned citizen, I have been active, I've served, volunteered, advocated for and against issues in a community that I know very well and understand their needs because I've lived it every day. I am a bridge builder, a reformer with a fair amount of soft and hard skill. I have enjoyed the diversity that is unique to this county and the relationship that I've built from north to south, east to west, and anywhere in between. If and when elected, my desire is to continue to serve, listen to the concern of this community, and make them a part of the decision-making that is being done on their behalf, and properly represent this district that has been so abandoned by people that have represented us in the past toward progress and results with my presence in the legislature and in this community. Again, thank you for this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Harmel. Now we will have Rep. Shannon.
Good evening, everybody. I'm State Representative Renitta Shannon. I'm so excited to be here with everybody tonight. I represent House District 84, and this is my 4th year in office. Before being elected, I come from a family that I grew up with 2 minimum wage working parents, and I really saw the value of hard work, and it also, that background taught me exactly what it is that families go through when they're just trying to pay the basic bills and also have a safe and healthy community. It was my business background along with my community organizing background that led me to run for office. And so one of the issues that I consistently work on is economic justice. That is actually what started my community organizing background, which led me to work on a host of different issues. I think now more than ever, we have seen the ramifications of what has happened with COVID and the pandemic. I mean, it's really just exposed how many issues we have that still need a lot of work in this country, namely being the fact that workers are the majority in this country. They are the majority in Georgia. They are the majority in House District 84. but policy still does not reflect as if workers are the majority. And so prioritizing economic justice, which is attached to so many different issues. It's attached to voting rights, it's attached to reproductive rights, it's attached to racial equity. There is nothing that economic justice does not touch. That has been a cornerstone of the issues that I have worked on in my time. And so I'm excited to be here. I have, even though Democrats have been in the minority since I entered in 2017, I have been able to get results for the issues that we care about and results for my constituents. And I ask that you would send me back and allow me to continue to fight for you and get results.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now we will move on to House District 86, and we will start with Dr. Ladena Bolton.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you to the DeKalb Young Dems for affording us this opportunity. As you know, several of us had to run over here from another forum, so we're really excited to continue sharing. But again, I am Dr. Ladena Bolton. I am a proud wife of an educator. I'm a mother of 3 boys. I'm also an award-winning chemist and a community advocate. I was raised right here in DeKalb County, and I'm raising my children here. So I do understand our concerns, and all of my life I have been serving here and looking forward to addressing those concerns. I'm one of those students who was honored to attend college on the Hope Scholarship that led me to get my PhD from Clark Atlanta University. So from there, this community nurtured me to be able to do work with the Department of Energy on energy sustainability, which is a really huge issue right now in the country as well as in the state, as well as I had opportunities to do work on health disparities and how they affect African American communities. And I've also deployed around the world on behalf of the Army to protect us, protect our national security. So even with my federal experience, in addition to my local experience serving with HOAs and with the commission, together, this is what pushed me forward to decide that it was time for someone with a fresh perspective, energy, new ideas to jump in to represent our community, someone from our community who is actively working to change our community. And even in the wake of the pandemic, I've helped to feed hundreds of families. I've connected small businesses to resources, and I have distributed personal protective equipment to essential workers. My top priority is education. As I've discussed my education, I believe that's the core of sustaining and growing any community, and I will champion education if I am so honored to be elected as your state representative in District 86. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ladena. Now we'll have Rep. Michelle Henson.
I'm muted by you.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Young Democrats for having this. I've been around Young Democrats going back into the 80s. I remember when Steve Henson ran, I believe that was the Young Democrats of Georgia, and have supported the Young Democrats ever since. Love watching, I love seeing how you've all grow up, you take issues, you work with them. I think it's terrific. My background, I grew up in Boston, it's pretty obvious from my accent, and went to school up there in Miami and here, little. I have lived in DeKalb for 40 years, right off Memorial Drive. I've run a small business on Memorial Drive. My ex-husband is a dentist. I ran his practices for nearly 20 years. They were dental practice, predominantly Medicaid, so I've been a huge proponent of Medicaid coverage in the legislature. I took what I learned in the workforce, took it over to the legislature. I've worked hard on that we need health coverage. I'm a big believer in preventive health coverage and have always spoken up on such. I've been an activist probably since I was a young kid, and my first involvement was here in DeKalb County, was opposing the median on Memorial Drive, which didn't have the curb cuts that it has nowadays. It's roughly 1,500 feet apart. So we oppose that. I've been a founding member of PRISM, Pride Rings in Stone Mountain, still active with it. I'm on the Oakhurst Health Oakhurst Community Health Center. I'm on their board. I've also been involved with Art Station in Stone Mountain Village for many, many years. I've enjoyed being a state representative. I've enjoyed being able to advocate for people that need it, that need our help, both at a legislative level and just with learning how to navigate the system and the bureaucracy that is there with the state. It's really been a pleasure to do that. With regard to things that I've done in the legislature, there are some bills I've been very proud of sponsoring. I created the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust, which I think is very vital today, and things that they teach. Also been on the Anti-Defamation League board. I've sponsored different bills for DeKalb County, code enforcement bill, how to simplify a system with hotel and motel taxes. So I've done those. I've worked on every insurance mandate for women and for men, and have worked very hard to make sure that they are not taken away, that they stay there, that we don't create a Cadillac insurance instead of.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much, Michelle. Great job. Great intro. We want to live it over there, but good job. Now we'll have Zulma Lopez.
Thank you for having me. Am I unmuted? Okay. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name is Zulma Lopez. I am from Puerto Rico originally, but I moved to District 86 in DeKalb County almost 13 years ago. It's where I've chosen to raise my 4 children who attend DeKalb public schools. It's also where I have my own business. And one thing that you should know about me is that I learned to overcome adversity at a very young age. When I was 16 years old, I started working at my parents' bakery, which at the time was actually going through a very rough time. And we ended up losing our family business and pretty much losing everything. And so I have to overcome adversity at a very young age and work hard to pay for my college degree and my law school degree. And now I've been an attorney, a licensed attorney for the last 16 years. Immigration, I have my own practice in DeKalb County. And I represent families against this administration's policies of separating families from their children. I'm the only candidate also in this race who have knocked on more than 2,000 doors pre-COVID-19. And I have so many conversations with residents across District 86. And those conversations I carry with me, and those are going to inform the decisions that I make as your next state representative. I hope that also gives you an idea or an indication of the type of representative that I will be. I will listen to you and I will work hard on your behalf. I believe that my diverse background and experience makes me the more relatable candidate in this race. When elected, I will be the only Latina legislature at the General Assembly in 2021. And being a business owner qualifies me to tackle our most pressing issue, which is this budget, and making sure that we continue to support public education, working families, and small business owners. Thank you for having me. My name is Zulma Lopez.
Thank you, Zulma. And now we will have Joscelyn O'Neill. Is Joscelyn in here? Okay, so we do not have Joscelyn from what I can see. So we will just keep moving. All right, well, thank you ladies so much. We will actually start with our first district specific question. This is for House District 83. The question is, so we asked residents in your districts about their concerns. One resident stated, tax relief for seniors is an issue. With raising house prices, property assessments are raising too, putting pressure on seniors with fixed income. Ladies, how can you address this issue? We will start with Rep. Becky Evans.
Becky, you're on mute.
Yes, thank you. That's a good question. Tax relief for seniors, and I'm glad to know that this issue came up in your conversations. I've had many conversations with folks in House District 83 about this issue too. And I think that what we, need to look at is how much are our property values increasing in certain neighborhoods, and do we need to expand the senior exemptions that already exist? It's not, to my understanding, DeKalb actually does have generous senior exemptions compared to Atlanta and Decatur. And so I need to understand the issue further about what we can do for our seniors in that regard.
Awesome. Thank you, Becky. And now we'll have Audrey Maloof.
Yes, this is a great question. Thank you so much for asking. There are a variety of ways that we can work to reduce the tax burden on our seniors in our community. And one way is to reduce their payment into our public school tax, but also adjusting it so that we don't lose any income that way. Since they, no longer are being served by the public schools, it seems a little, that is just one way that we could reduce it, but definitely fixing it so that we don't lose any money, because obviously our public schools need to be funded, but that is one way that we can support the seniors in our district.
Awesome. Thank you, Audrey. And now we'll go into our question. These are for everyone. And again, you will have 1 minute to answer the question. We'll start with Dejan, and his topic is COVID-19.
All right, thank you so much, Cindy. All right, millennials graduated during the recession, which include low job opportunity and down housing market. It appears that young millennials, Generation Z, will also graduate in an economic downturn. What can the state do to address the generational impact of these two major events? This is just a reminder that you have 1 minute to answer each question. And we're going to start off with House District 86, Joscelyn O'Neill.
I don't think Joscelyn is here. So
she's actually having trouble joining. I'm trying to get her joined right now. So let's, can we start with someone else?
Yeah.
Yes, we can start with Zulma Lopez.
Oh, Zulma, you're on mute. Let's see. I can try to unmute you. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Thank you for this question, John. I am a parent of a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old. And so I personally understand the struggles that they're going through, coming back home and really not finding themselves, losing their summer jobs and not knowing what's going to happen in their future. I believe that we need to continue to fight for funding for education and job opportunities for our young millennials and young people like you. And the way we do so, and particularly when we're going through this crisis, is to understand where you're coming from and understand the struggles that you're going through. And when we tackle this crisis with this budget, we cannot lose sight that we must continue to protect job opportunities, working families, and education for our children. That will be my priority at the state legislature.
Awesome.
Thank you. Representative Henson.
Thank you. It's an excellent question, and one that I know will be returning to the legislature and dealing with this coming June. We've been working a lot with the students that are in college with the opt-in for the pass-fail grades, and at least got the university system to the table to talk with them. It's going to be a very, very difficult issue. We have so many adults we're going to have that are unemployed. The state is looking at furloughs and layoffs. And I think one of the most important things we need to do as a state is find new resources for revenue to come in. And that's, looking at the tax breaks that we have given to corporations and industries, looking at how we eliminate that. Can we tax tobacco? Can we tax alcohol? That could generate quite a bit of money. Will there be casinos or mutual betting? which could also bring revenues in and create jobs. All those things and all those issues need to be looked at, but it's going to be a very difficult issue. I was there during the recession of 2008, and it was difficult for a lot of people. And for those that are currently working, we're fortunate in unemployment being able to come in, some of the stimulus checks that people have gotten. But the employment hasn't been easy because I have constituents contacting me on a daily basis with regard to that.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ladena Bolton?
Will you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Millennials graduated during a recession, which included low job opportunities and a down housing market. It appears that young millennials, Generation Z, will also graduate in an economic downturn. What can the state do to address the generational impact of these two major events?
Thank you. One thing I want to make sure that I do, well, first let me say I do applaud the General Assembly for working with the students, and of course applauding the students for taking the initiative to make sure that they have placed themselves in position to do better moving forward. One thing that we can do, not just for those who graduated, but all those who are still in school as well, we have to consider the fact that through the pandemic, they have been displaced from the university where they had healthcare. Some of those students have gone back to rural areas where they don't have the accessibility. Hospitals have closed, and they've gone also home to areas where there is lack of broadband. One thing that we could do immediately to make sure that we have put the students that are still in school in a position to move forward, and those look for jobs as well, making sure that we're expanding broadband so they have accessibility. Everything has gone online now. Whether you're applying for a job, having a meeting such as what we're having right now, whatever it is, we need to make sure that we provide them with broadband accessibility, the healthcare that they weren't getting before, but also make sure we're pouring into the communities to make sure that we're using those opportunity zones, those hub zones, designations that we have federally and statewide, the workforce development programs that we have right here in DeKalb County and other counties across the state that are underutilized, but they are there. So we have to be champions, providing this information to our graduates, to our students, and all those who need those opportunities for employment moving forward.
We are at time, but yeah. Yes, but I think that.
And it appears that Ms. Joscelyn O'Neill just logged in. Is she in?
Yes, I'm in. Hello.
All right. And I will go ahead and repeat that question for you, okay?
Sure. Thank you.
All right. Millennials graduated during a recession, which included low job opportunities and a down housing market. It appears that young millennials, Generation Z, will also graduate in an economic downturn. What can the state do to address the generational impact of these two major events?
The first major event came when we had the performance test that disqualified a lot of students from being able to receive a diploma. Some people may say, well, some of them could not read on an adequate level. Many of those young people needed that passport, that diploma, to be able to go to a next level, either to vocational schools, college, military. Many of our companies that were here needed a high school diploma just to employ someone in General Motors and some of the other major companies that brought an income into the communities and into the pockets of the county, because when they're making money, that means they're paying taxes, they can invest in properties. I've been working with the gang violence intervention. I had the opportunity to go to New York and deal with some of the situations that we're dealing with right now, some of the gang violence, some of the group violence. Many of those young people never received that high school diploma. That high school diploma is more important than the college degree, because that is a passport to being able to get employed. So once we cannot graduate our students from high school, they can't be employed. They can't go to another level. Many of us got smarter after we got out of high school. Now, I appreciate those who've gone on to many levels of and degrees. I'm paraeducated. I have certification in accounting, but at one point in my life, I did not choose to go directly into college.
Thank you so
We
much.
need to pick these young people up where they are.
Joscelyn, thank you so much. We great job. And we just just a reminder to everyone, for these questions we have 1 minute. Joscelyn, since you are just not coming in, we actually will give you some time to do your intro right after we finish this round. And I think you are now at 84.
84, correct. Representative Shannon.
Yes, thank you. There are two areas that actually I've thought of some solutions of what we need to do that are not just appropriate because of the downtown turn that folks are graduating, but are issues that we actually need to work on just in the state of Georgia in general. The first is that there are whole categories of employers that we do not do an excellent job as a state as a whole of going after, and that is green jobs as well as technology jobs. Most of the jobs that you see coming to the state are positions that don't require, they're just not diverse in the types of jobs that we regularly recruit to come to the state. So millennials that are graduating do have more of a technology background, much more than folks have in the past. And so that's an area where we could bring about new jobs to the state. The other thing I'll mention real quick is there are a lot of areas within the law where the state has its foot on the neck of the counties and cities when it comes to actually doing affordable housing. And so we really need to take a look at when we are setting aside areas for affordable housing and giving tax breaks. If we're considering that one person can make up to $80,000 a year and be considered, and that's who can qualify for affordable housing, not even having children, well, then that's obviously not somebody who is probably at the beginning of their career, just starting out entry level, most likely to be a millennial, and that's not true affordable housing. So we need to do what we can to, from the state level, to take our foot off of the necks of localities to actually assist with the affordable housing issue, which is where the issue does actually live.
Thank you so much. And just another reminder that we have 1 minute to answer these questions. The next person is Miss Codi.
You are on mute.
Okay. Hello?
Yep.
Okay. I have a 19-year-old college, also a daughter of mine who's also has been displaced. She's at home. She's been home since earlier this year during the pandemic. So one of the things that I've been able to do with her and my son, who is 17, is encourage entrepreneurship. We've been able to do certain things online. We created some products. We put them on different sites and been able to make money. She's an artist. I encourage her to make available some of her arts online. So I think this is one area that we have not been able to explore is in entrepreneurship. Encourage that area either through mentorship or through in a way that gives children or young people access to become self-employed. In addition to that, I believe that we can encourage businesses through a level of private and public partnership by giving them a tax break to encourage these entry-level jobs to young people as well.
Thank you so much. And now, House District 83, Ms. Maloof.
Thank you for asking this question. I am a 23-year-old candidate. I graduated college in 2019. I am extremely fortunate to have gotten a job on February 23rd that is going through November 3rd. It's a job focusing on voter turnout. But after November 3rd, I'm freaking out, you know? Like, this is an issue for so many people my age right now, coming out of college, coming out of temporary jobs. And I also, big thank you and recognizing the privilege that I have to live at home with my parents. I wouldn't be running for office if I had to pay to live in this district. I, worked service industry jobs to live in an apartment in Atlanta, and that you know, derailed my political path for a minute there. And this is not a lucrative job. All of us know this. This is not, public service is not, you know, the breadwinner. But, you know, I have a brother who is in school at the Georgia Piedmont Technical College, and he works in the service industry as well. He cannot do his job via Zoom. And so many people our age are working jobs that are hands-on, that are being threatened by this virus. And so expanding things like health insurance. We're all coming up on the age of 26 where we're going to be booted off our parents' health insurance. I want to know that there is going to be a viable option for me when that happens. You know, so I guess my message here is elect the people that are closest to the issues. I am living this issue right now, and so many young people are, and that is why we need a younger voice.
Thank you so much. Representative Evans.
Hey, Becky, you're on mute. Let's see. You're still on mute. I'm going to unmute you.
Yeah, I got it. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I enjoyed listening to all my colleagues, and I wanted to just build on some of the things they said. I absolutely believe that the state needs to invest in clean energy, and that green jobs are our future. And so we invest in other ways in other industries. And so one of the things I feel like we can do is work with our solar industry, and we can make some changes in some of our enabling legislation for Georgia Power to allow more community solar to be built, and that would be a great job builder in the solar industry. I absolutely value our technical colleges so much, and I agree that we can be doing more with workforce development. And there are 9 career pathways where if someone goes into those career pathways, their technical education is entirely paid for. And so that's something that I feel like we need to, really make sure that people know about these workforce development programs. One other small thing with housing, affordable housing is an issue statewide. At the state level, we can expand the Housing Trust Fund so that to develop more public-private partnerships to build some affordable housing. And those are just, and then the one last thing is a big idea, be a heavy lift, but we can look into portable benefits where you can get healthcare benefits if you change from one job to the next. So that would be something really exciting to work on.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Now we will have Parker, and just for one more reminder, so I'm going to get a little bit more strict with this 1 minute rule, just everything flowing. So I'll just I want to put my little timer up here. So once I say time, that's the time, and then we'll just move on to the next candidate. Now we will have Parker, who will ask about criminal justice reform.
I believe we're supposed to have Joscelyn give her introduction because she got on late.
Yes, thank you so much, Parker. Yes, so Joscelyn, you'll have 2 minutes, and I'm going to ask you to just tell us who you are, why you're running, and one core issue that is in your district and how you will solve it. And you can start.
I'd like to say the word affordable, I haven't seen that be a word of true definition. If they build them too expensive. If they come into neighborhoods, the neighborhoods are too expensive, even if they were at one time affordable housing.
Hey, Joscelyn, are you sharing your video? I'm not able to see you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just a blank screen for some reason.
I don't want to do too much.
Let's see. You're sharing your screen now, but we need. If you could perhaps stop sharing your screen and show your video. You want to do the start video on the little camera button down there at the bottom.
Little camera button at the bottom. Okay. Where are we?
I'm thinking if you go all the way down to the bottom of your screen, yeah, right there, click that, and meeting controls. So go to the meeting controls.
I'm gonna have to put my glasses back on for that one.
Oh, okay. Totally fine.
Sorry. Okay, I see that.
It was like to the bottom left, and then click on that, and in that you should be able to see the option of sharing your video.
Okay.
And if not, you know what, we are able to hear your voice, so we'll just keep on going if you would like.
Yes, I'll just keep going. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. All
okay.
Right.
I'm a grassroots in the neighborhood, on the ground person. My experiences come from hand in touch with the people in the community. And I want to say that I had a lady that came to my home yesterday, said, Miss O'Neill, I want to thank you because 12 years ago, my son was able to come to the summer camp that I started 15 years ago in our neighborhood park, where the children would have someplace to come so the parents could go to work every day. I didn't know the child. She asked me to keep the child and so she could keep her good job. As of yesterday, she got out of her car and told me how much she appreciated what I had done for her. Behind that, I did a grant that made it affordable for parents to bring their children to the community park at 7:30 in the morning so they could keep their jobs. Now, I'm saying this because I'm on the ground. I'm touching the people. I'm going to the committee meetings. I go to the PSC. I do the broken poles and hanging wires. I'm trying to get our neighborhoods to look better. We need to stop the proliferation of gas stations. I have 9 gas stations within a 2-mile radius of my community. That is not healthy for us. We complain about, well, the COVID-19 is bad, but constantly breathing in the fumes from these gas stations that come in. And we can do better. We can just do better. I want to say I'm a person that's right on the ground, not just in my neighborhood, for the whole district. There's no reason for us to continue to be complacent with things that are just given to us. The stores, we need better stores, we need better restaurants in our district. We can do this. And like I've said with the other ladies that are running for office, no matter who gets in that position, I think I'm the best person, Joscelyn O'Neill, the real deal for that. But as folks know, the people in the communities know me, they know that I'm going to resolve any issue. So I'd like to say that I appreciate the opportunity to come on, with the Young Democrats. I work with young people. I've provided a place for young people to come for 15 years.
And thank you so much, Joscelyn. That was great. Thank you so much. That was a little bit over 2 minutes, but great job. Now we are going to move on to Parker. And again, everyone, you'll have 1 minute. So if you have a phone next to you, you might want to get it out and put it on the timer, because I'm going to lay the rules down and just really make sure that we're just at 1 minute. All right, go ahead, Parker.
Hello, everyone. My name is Parker Short. I am a former chairman of the High School Democrats of Georgia and a recent graduate from Dunwoody High School. I'm going to start with a question about criminal justice reform, and we're going to start with House District 83. The problems of the American criminal justice system are no more evident than in DeKalb County and in the state of Georgia, with systematic and problems and a lack of fair representation regardless of economic and racial standing. What would you do as a state representative to change this inadequate system? What changes do you think need to be made to the public defender system and our model for policing? We're going to begin with Representative Becky Evans.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Parker. And I do agree that our criminal justice system is broken in the state of Georgia. We have 525,000 people are incarcerated or on probation or on parole, and 1 out of every 18 adults is under some form of correctional control. We have the highest rate of correctional supervision in the country. And to put this in perspective, our rate of correctional control is 73% higher than Pennsylvania, which is the next lowest one. One of the reasons that it's so high is our probation level is so high. It's our average is 6 years, and research shows diminishing positive results after 18 months. So one of the things that I want to fight to do is to decrease the amount of time, average time that a person is on parole. I also, we need to talk about 4.3 million Georgians, 40% have a criminal record, and we need to expand expungement of laws to allow for restrictions of certain convictions.
Hi,
thank you. Laws.
Representative Evans, we're going to move on to Ms. Maloof.
Yeah, thank you. One thing that I do want to do, I will work to legalize marijuana with the caveat that all people who have been charged with nonviolent possession will be released from jail and have their records expunged. People of color in our community, specifically Black men in our community and state, have been disproportionately targeted, and we cannot allow this trend to continue. That's just one way. There are so many other ways that I think, you know, we can work in our community, in our district, in our state, but that is the one way that I want to tackle it first.
All right, thank you, Ms. Maloof. We're going to move on to Harmel Codi.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. The first thing, I believe that everyone is deserved due process available by this Constitution. However, our legal system has been biased, unfair, especially toward people of color. The legislature, my duty is to promote rules of law that would allow people, would give opportunities to people that have been charged of a crime to have a fair representation with their attorneys always present, to make sure that they have a fair, if they are convicted, at least if they go into probation, that the rule of probation would change. We need to advocate for these rules to be changed, that not to be soft on crime, but to be fair and equitable.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to Representative Shannon.
Yes, there's quite a few things that we need to do that can't be answered just within 1 minute, but I'll say briefly that overall we need to move away from this idea that being tough on crime actually solves problems and that we can incarcerate our way out of any type of behavior that individuals are doing that we don't like. Incarceration seems to be the answer. That's wrong. Georgia's still moving in a direction that is wholly against ending mass incarceration. And when I say that, I mean still putting people in jail for crimes that are not violent. I've done a lot of work on this issue. I have done a lot of work also on making sure that we are righting some of the wrongs that have been done to Black people where they've been disproportionately affected in the system, both Black and brown folks, including sponsoring a bill to start tracking police violence and police, to enforce police accountability and police use of force. So I could talk for much longer than a minute on it, but trying to respect the rules.
Thank you, Representative Shannon. We're now going to go to House District 86, and we're going to start with Dr. Ladena Bolton.
I'll say ditto to Representative Shannon. There's a lot that I'm going to say, so I'm going to try to say it quickly so I can get as much in as I can. I believe in rehabilitation, not just punishing folks through sending them to jail or to prison. We've seen examples all around the country, all around the world, where governments or communities get a better return on their investment per se by rehabilitating. So I do agree we need to decriminalize non-violent crimes. And we've actually seen how this works during the pandemic right here in DeKalb County and other counties across the state. But in DeKalb, there were about 1,600 inmates prior to the pandemic, but because of the pandemic and health concerns, nearly 200 inmates, non-violent of course, were released. So there are now about 1,400 there, and they have gone back into their communities, back to their families. They're being productive, and we haven't seen a spike in crime due to that release. So that's a model that we can use moving forward. Also, if I have any more seconds left, do I?
Yeah, that's time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bolton. We're going to move on to Representative Henson. You're muted.
Could you repeat the question? I think
Yes, I will. The problems in the American criminal justice system are no more evident than in DeKalb County and in the state of Georgia. With the systematic problems and a lack of fair representation regardless of economic or racial standing, what have you done as a state representative to change this inadequate system? What changes do you think need to be made to the public defender system and our model of policing?
this past year in our budget, we looked at lowering the amount of money going into public defenders, which I felt was incredibly unfair and spoke against it. Because how can you increase the amount of people that are being incarcerated and have less representation? So I'm really opposed to it. Like others here on this panel, I am, but don't put someone in jail for a non-violent offense. I also believe in don't arrest them for less than an ounce of marijuana. I think we also need to train. It's the rehabilitation, it's the training. Train them in prison, but give them some money when they get out. Give them some way that they can survive. People get out of prison, don't even have a ID with them, and they need money to get that. So we need to help them through the process. We also need to retrain our police in how they approach people. And they need to have better training in recognizing behavioral health issues.
I guess it's time. All right.
I thought you had my time.
Yeah, well, yeah, you were like 3 seconds. You had like 3 more seconds. But good job. Those were actually great answers. Then I guess, who's next, Parker?
Zulma Lopez.
Thank you, Parker, for your question. I believe that we simply must stop creating laws that criminalize Black and Brown communities. We must not have a punitive mentality that seeks to mass incarcerate non-violent offenders. And I believe in restorative justice. I believe in rehabilitation and accountability courts, and yes, to funding public defenders. I also am glad of the pushback that Governor Kent's received against his gun bill. This is a perfect example of how we need to continue to fight to prevent our children from entering the criminal justice system. I have a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old, so it's very fresh in my mind when they're going through their teenage years and how these laws could easily derail a child's future. So I will continue to work on this issue and to expand our criminal justice reform in DeKalb County.
Thank you, Zulma. We're going to go to our final panelist for this question, Joscelyn O'Neill, and then I'm going to hand it off to Cindy.
Well, I would like to say that we emphasize too many people going to jail. I think in our education system, instead of putting so much pressure on our teachers who need help, being an educator, I saw when the paraprofessionals were taken out of the classrooms, they only have them in there for special education or special classes, but the classes are overcrowded. Children come to school with problems. Teachers need to have more help. And I think if you can educate our children and have more help, then we will see less of these young people dropping out of school and going into the, the judicial system. We can do better, but we've got to think not only out of the box, but what is it that we really need? We don't have a lot of manufacturing companies where these young people can be hired when they graduate from high school.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Sorry about that, but we're trying to just keep it flowing so that we're not
hearing. All right.
All right. So we will, so great job on that round. Now we'll have our second district specific question. This will be for House District 84. We asked residents in your district about their concerns. one stated, it's our ethics. It's been a controversial topic, but it's something that we need to confront. With that, I'll add that 61% of voters turned down the referendum on the ballot. That said, DeKalb CEO Thurman was quoted as saying, "We need a strong ethics board because the current state is just unacceptable." So our question is, do you support or reject the ethics forms, and why? First, we'll start with Rep. Shannon.
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I think that everybody agrees that we do need a efficient and strong ethics board in DeKalb County and an efficient setup. The thing with this issue is that it's been controversial because people are fighting over how to set it up. An ethics board is just similar. Any system of accountability is going to have racial bias built in. And so I think that similar as we've been just talking about the criminal justice system, we need to make sure that we are crafting an ethics board that has fairness built into the way that it operates and the way that, just the way that it operates in general, because otherwise you will end up with a weak ethics board where people just feel that ethic charges are political and not taken seriously, as we've just discussed in our previous conversation, that Black and brown folks are disproportionately, locked up by the criminal justice system. So I think in order for us to have a strong ethics board in DeKalb County, we need to have one that is fair and that has the full faith of the entire community, so that when ethics charges are brought, people actually have faith that these are just not trumped up political charges and they are actually legitimate.
Thank you. Now we'll have Harmel Codi.
Well, anyone that has lived in DeKalb prior to 2015 knows that DeKalb County has had a lot of ethics issues, starting with Commissioner Elaine Boyer's conviction to the Bowers report. And if you don't know these things, then you have to call the police to find out about them. That means you're not part of the community and pretty much live through the nightmares of having the lack of oversight. In 2015, when the ethics bill came about to establish the ethics board and the audit oversight committee, those are the reason why we ended up with these two oversight bodies. So I don't think ethics has anything to do with Black and white. It's a matter of right and wrong. And if you want strong ethics, you want strong ethics, or you don't want it. So in my opinion, voting to have ethics issues going through human resources, whether to go through an ethics board, is ludicrous. In addition to that, not having an ethics officer and having just a person with a clerical background is, to me, is really obsolete.
Thank you so much for your answer. All right, so now we will go over to Dijon with a question about education.
Thank you so much for that, Cindy. And this is one of my favorite topics. So we're gonna start off in House District 86 with Joscelyn O'Neill. The question is, as you may know, education has taken a 14% budget cut due to COVID-19. In which the DeKalb County School District is facing a $72 million budget cut, where many educators will be facing furloughs. To my legislators, how will you collaborate with the Board of Education to ensure proper funding?
Well, Mr. Discasa, that's a very serious question. At this point, I don't have a good answer for that, and I'm not going to make up anything for you. It's a travesty that our school system is going to suffer, and our children, we're already having problems that we've already discussed. Juveniles, the crime system. This pandemic is going to cause a lot of heartaches, and to tell you the truth, the question is big. It needs to be addressed, but I really don't have the answer for it, and I'm not going to make up one. But I will be working with the school board.
Thank you so much. Ms. Zulma Lopez?
Thank you for that question. One thing I want to say is that in District 86, education disparities precede COVID-19. So when you look at, I have a Lakeside High School on the northern side of the district with over 80% of graduates going into college, and on the southern part of the district, Towers High School, with barely 50% of graduates going into college. So that is unacceptable to begin with. We know that this pandemic is going to take these huge cuts into the DeKalb school budget are going to hurt our children. So with the way this district, the lines of the district, I will have to work with multiple board members of education in securing not only protecting, ensuring funding from the state, but also being proactive and creative in getting federal funding and anticipating what's going to happen in the fall and how can we better prepare our students for what's coming in the fall. I have children in public schools, and we really, with the data that's coming out of the state so inconsistent and flawed, we really are struggling with thinking, how are we really going to prepare our children to go back to school in the fall? So it has to have a collaborative effort between local elected officials and the state representatives.
Thank you so much. Representative Henson.
Okay.
Did I miss an earlier question?
Go ahead and repeat it real quick.
Okay, I'm sorry. As you may know, education has taken a 40% budget cut due to COVID-19, in which the DeKalb County School District is facing a $72 million budget cut, where many educators may face furlough days. To my legislators, how will you collaborate with the Board of Education to ensure proper funding?
I'm on appropriations, as I've told you, and I'd love to wave a magic wand and say, here's your 72 million. But every district throughout the state of Georgia is facing the same problem, maybe not the same amount of dollars. And we're all going to be looking for how, and we'll also look to the feds on how we can possibly do it. Virtual education is fine, but we also need to train our teachers better on how to teach virtually. There are different proposals that I've heard about, some with changing the school day, having some students working here, working there. So there's a lot of different conversations that are going on right now, and we need to be having them right now. But how we're going to be doing it, I can't tell you. I could tell you a lot of these answers better at the end of June when we finish the budget for the 2020/2021 year.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ladena Bolton.
Thank you for this question. As someone who is a product of the DeKalb County school system, and I'm sending my children through the system, this is very important to me. I do want to commend the state for accepting the $34 million from the federal government through the CARES Act to support our school system. However, like you said, with the 14% cuts, this still will not be enough. So as a representative, I would champion recalculating the Quality Basic Education formula, the QBE, in which it's outdated. We're now at a time where we have to recalculate it to make sure that students across DeKalb County receive the funding to obtain the resources necessary to continue to educate our students. But also, if I have a few seconds left, I want to say we have to make sure that we give educators a voice in the process, because now that we are home, I'm home with my kids every day without all the resources that you guys have in the classroom. I see how important it is to make sure you have what you need to give my children the future that I'm looking for them to have moving forward. Is that my time?
Yeah, perfect. That was perfect.
Perfect time, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much. And we're going to move along to House District 84, and we're going to start with Representative Shannon. I'm sorry.
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely. As you may know, education has taken a 14% budget cut due to COVID-19, in which the DeKalb County School District is facing a $72 million budget cut, where many educators will be facing furlough days. To my legislators, how will you collaborate with the Board of Education to ensure proper funding?
So again, this is one of those issues that it's getting attention because of COVID, but these are longstanding issues that have been a problem that are not just new because of COVID. And I say that because for so long, the QBE formula has not been adjusted to actually tell us in a real way what it takes to educate each and every student. So the QBE formula tells a district tells a state how much money each child should get within the district. And the QBE formula does not include things like wraparound services, which are essential. For example, making sure that there are meals for kids. It doesn't include the teachers having all the resources that they need. So what I have been working on since the time that I have been there consistently is this message that we need to actually reevaluate the QBE formula. Yes, continue to fully fund what we do have, but we need to reevaluate so that we can actually know exactly what we need to ensure that kids are actually receiving what they need to learn. And I think that doesn't change under COVID-19. And the consistent pushback that we have heard is that, well, we already spend so much on the budget. And, you know, again, education is one of those things that if you skimp on it, you will see the future effects of it. So although we spend, 51% of the budget on education, can anybody say that that is not what we should be doing? So.
Thank you so much for that answer. Ms. Codi?
Yes. Well, DeKalb County School always been a top-heavy administration with one of the highest millage rates when it comes to a tax base for the schools. I believe that we can cut through those areas to make sure that we meet that budget. In addition to that, I've always worked with the schools, whether through the PTA or my advocacy when during the state takeover, school takeover issues that we have. Also, even with the new superintendent hiring, I was one of those people that was against that. So there's a lot of ways that we can cut some part of the budget that really, some part of the current budget to really meet certain needs that we will have in the future, even with the virtual learning. So that being said, regardless, I don't have a particular answer that would respond to that question, but if I'm elected, I will work with the schools regardless.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna move along to House District 83. We're gonna start off with Ms. Maloof.
Thank you so much for this question. I was raised by a public educator and have attended the public schools in this district. It breaks my heart, and I just want to put this out there to all the teachers. It breaks my heart that you're having to go through this. I would like, obviously, especially in times like these, it's really hard to sit down and find the dollars that you need. I would like to sit down with the board and go line item by line item and prioritize. And to me, priorities need to be teachers and protecting our students. And if we can't find a tie to those two issues, it needs to be lower on the priority list. But we need to protect the people of our county and the students of our county, or else we will see drastic effects that will negatively impact us in the future.
Thank you so much. Representative Becky Evans.
Pandemic has shown us, those of us that have been at home with kids, how important our teachers are and that they do deserve a stronger voice. So I absolutely will fight for our teachers in our schools. And I would like to just say, I think it's a false choice that we have to cut this 14%. And I'm really hoping we can fight so that DeKalb won't have $72 million cut. And one of the ways we can do that is to ensure a stronger revenue base in our budget. So, and one of the ways we can raise revenue without affecting most working people is we can raise the tobacco tax and also on vaping products. We can eliminate the double deduction, and we can trim expenditures, some tax credit expenditures for corporations. So I would look for ways to raise revenue so that we don't have to make the full $72 million cuts. But no matter what, I want to always have an open relationship with our school board and our superintendent and listen to them. And really, you all will be making the cuts, not we won't have anything to do with that, the legislature. I will fight to bring you every dollar for DeKalb County schools.
Thank you so much. And everyone had a really great answer. I'm gonna move along to Mr. Parker, topic on environment.
Hello. We are undeniably facing a global crisis of climate change. Do we need a Green New Deal? Former DeKalb Young Dems President Ted Terry has proposed a DeKalb New Deal. Do we need a Georgia New Deal? How can we move past these challenges here at home and abroad?
And Parker, just let us know who to start with.
Yes, we're going to begin with House District 83, Representative Becky Evans.
I would absolutely love a Georgia New Deal. I would be very supportive of that. I believe I've already stated earlier that I believe that we need to invest more in clean energy, and that I believe that the air we breathe needs to be clean. We deserve to have clean water, and we need to need to get rid of the pollution, and so. I would be supportive. I'm absolutely supportive of a Green New Deal and investing in electric vehicles, investing in batteries for electric vehicles, and the green energy economy is our future. We absolutely need to make this transition.
Thank you. Ms. Maloof.
Thank you for this question, and pardon my language, but hell yes, we need a Green New Deal. My generation is the generation that will be left with this mess, and our children will suffer, we will suffer, and we are already suffering. DeKalb County specifically, I would love to see support from our state to address our water infrastructure in DeKalb. We have raw sewage spilling into our water in DeKalb County. The EPA has addressed us personally. We need to work on issues like this, and it needs to happen now.
Thank you, Ms. Maloof. We're going to move to House District 84, Harmel Codi. You are on mute. Ms. Codi, thank you.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we absolutely need the Green New Deal in DeKalb, but it's hard for me to imagine it right now because we have a water issue, a lot of water issues, especially with the sewer system. It's right there in my backyard. We also have the landfill. Right now, my community is dealing with issues like that, with a landfill that's spewing toxic fumes in our community and make up people sick. So the leadership and the vision has to come from the top. And I really believe that with public pressure, that can happen, but I don't really see the vision right now from our leaders coming from the top.
All right, well, thank you. We'll move to Representative Renitta Shannon.
Absolutely. We need a Green Deal for the state, not just for DeKalb County. And I say that because DeKalb County is not the only county that is facing environmental issues. So in DeKalb County, we've got water and sewer issues. But if you look at Cobb County, look at what happened last year where a corporation that sterilizes medical equipment was allowing pollution at higher levels than what is allowed by the EPA. And this went on for some time and folks started to get cancer. They have a counter plant, a sister plant also in Covington that was doing the same thing. And there was no, because the state focuses so much on just being the best for business, meaning you can kind of do anything you want to do here under Republican administrations, there has been an unwillingness to hold corporations accountable for polluting the air and the water that we breathe. And so absolutely, this is an area that needs so much work, and it's something that we all would benefit from.
Thank you. We are going to move to House District 86, and we're going to start with Dr. Ladena Bolton.
Will you repeat the question?
Yes, I will. Do you believe that we are undeniably facing a climate crisis? Do you believe we need a Green New Deal here? And what would your Green New Deal plan include?
Thank you, Parker. I would say no, we don't need a Green New Deal. we've already started the process. All we have to do is set a goal and develop a strategy to make sure that we are actively working in that direction. And when I say we've already started the process, look at what the pandemic has done for us. We've reduced our carbon footprint in many places as much as 15%, because we've learned how to live with less than. As a scientist, someone who has done work on energy sustainability with the Department of Energy all over the country, we have initiatives in place, but one of the issues is that federally, but over the past 4 years, funding in this area has been cut federally. I believe as a state, we should identify other sources of revenue so that we can increase state funding in this area, because we have universities like Savannah State University, Clark Atlanta, Georgia Tech State, Georgia State, all these other institutions who are grand institutions for implementing these initiatives, and they've already proposed some of them, but they just don't have the resources to expand it. Also, one more thing, with all the rebuilding and developing, I would encourage or work with local leaders to encourage developers to start building sustainable communities. We have opportunities to do that. So, for example, implementing solar panels with the houses, so that, or mechanical energy. Every time we move, that's energy that can be harvested and stored to be used to turn on the light bulb, television, etc. So we've taken the steps through the pandemic. Now it's the time to build that roadmap to make sure that we continue to do it beyond this point.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton. We're going to move to Representative Henson.
Thanks. I think there's two things that we need to start with. First, we need to elect a Democratic president, because too many things that are bad have started at that level in the past few years. The second thing we need to do is believe our scientists, and then we can move forward. I think that we need to honestly get more mass transit so we can get more cars off the road. We need to give our tax credits back for having electric cars and using them. We need to invest in our infrastructure so we can reduce the amount of traffic and cars and emissions and all. But Ladena is actually right with a lot of the things that she said. She's a scientist, she knows and understands this. Implementation is the real issue that we get to. And she talked about solar panels, and it's wonderful, and we tried to do that years ago, and we got fought back so badly by homeowner associations and builders and the realtors.
You're
get it built through. So we keep trying. That's all I can say is yes, we need to, so we can leave a better
Thank you,
world
Representative.
for our children.
That nice answer. We're going to move to Zulma Lopez.
I agree with having a Green New Deal, and I commend your generation for pushing this issue forward. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to require us changing our habits on for the better good of the world that we're leaving our children and future generations. I also believe that when we are considering development and economic development, we cannot do so at the expense of the environment. And when we protect our resources and when we have parks and outdoors and trails, our communities are more desirable for families that want to move into this type of community. And I think that young generations are having these requirements when they're looking for places to move and places to work. And that's also very, very admirable. We also in DeKalb County, I think that this issue with the sewage spillage into our water systems is we need to continue to hold the county accountable on this issue.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. We're going to have the final panelist, Joscelyn O'Neill.
I want to thank you, Parker. And I would like to say it's an unfortunate situation that we're having the sewer and water spillage. The county can be held accountable, but it's unfortunate that we're 50 years late. It didn't just start. And as far as solar and green energy, we've already started that. There are a lot of solar lights that are going on. I attended one of the meetings at the state capitol last year, and there's a family that's brought forth how they're using the solar panels on the highways for the solar cars, or for the energy cars. So we've already started that. Many of the situations that we're dealing with, our laws are not being enforced with the people that are the companies that are putting the pollution in the air. It's already on the books. We just need to enforce it. So we won't be going backwards, but what we need to do is take care of what we already have. The solar energy and the green space, I'm loving everything right now. Yes, the climate is changing. There is a major climate change, and we need to address that.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're already in the process.
Thank you so much, ladies. So now we'll have our final district specific question, and then we have 2 more questions and then a quick lightning round, and we'll be out of here. So this question is for House District 86. So we asked residents about their concerns. One stated, our area is in need of economic development, including healthy food stores. Some sections of our area don't even have a quality grocery store with healthy food within a 5-minute drive, putting us on the cusp of being in a food desert. So ladies, how can you address this issue? We will start with Joscelyn O'Neill.
That is very, very true. I go into stores in my community. I have to pick over the vegetables. And just one thing I tell other people, if you turn the lettuce or the cabbage upside down, if it's brown on the bottom, that lets you know that it's old. So we do, getting the people that supply us can supply us with better stuff instead of bringing all of the older, outdated foods into our communities. You don't go in other areas and find them in the same condition. So it's not so much the stores, it's what the stores are letting the people deliver to our communities. And they can do better, but if we don't request them to do better, they won't. So I tell neighbors, and I tell you, when you go in there and you see that those vegetables look bad, complain to the manager, to the owner of that store. We need to partner better with the Chamber of Commerce to have sit-down sessions with them, bring them in the communities and let us know what other companies might be interested, or can we invite other companies to come in and see our areas. Okay. Because we can do better. I can always say we can do better.
Awesome, we're at time. Do we have Zulma Lopez?
This is a conversation that I had with many residents when I was canvassing the district pre-COVID-19. And I learned a lot of people vividly remember choosing the area that's now District 86 to move here because it was a thriving economy, thriving places to shop, and great public schools. And that now they can no longer do that. They can no longer go to, for example, Memorial Drive, which really splits the district in half. They can no longer go there to get their grocery. They have to go somewhere else, and sometimes even outside of the county. So I am very excited to work with local elected officials on continuing the revitalization of that area. And from a standpoint from the legislature, I think we have a good opportunity for expanding perhaps tax breaks for businesses to allow them to enhance their locations, and also tackle businesses that really do not make the area desirable. We need to tackle businesses that are really bringing the area down and that bring crime to that area as well.
Thank you. Now we will have Representative Michelle Henson.
Okay, thank you. It's an excellent question. It's an issue that I hear from many people, and I've heard it for years. When they first began closing the grocery stores on Memorial Drive, and I happen to live in that area, I brought Publix in for some meetings with citizens. It's a private corporation out of Florida. They look at their numbers and they make their decisions. And I really took them to task for not meeting with us first, to not discuss their issues. When Kroger closed here, they said they're taking a $2 million loss per year, and unfortunately, it was a rough area. It's a very difficult thing. We do have other grocery stores moving in. We have I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing it, that took the place of Publix. And you know, it's not a bad store at all. I go there, I get fresh fruit and vegetables, and they're actually good. But it is a big issue in the southern part of the 86 House District. I'd like to see more cooperative work with economic development, with local leaders that are out in the community, so that we aren't a food desert. Can I say one last thing? I want to thank DeKalb County too for their mobile food trucks buses that they have during the summer months.
Awesome. Okay, and then lastly we have Dr. Ladena Bolton.
Thank you. Really quickly, I want to say that in 2014, DeKalb County approved its first economic development plan. So there is a strategy in place to help our community. Specifically, what they're working toward doing is making sure that we use those opportunity zones, hub zones, and even state designations to develop our communities, particularly those business owners who want to workshop, live, and play in the space where they live. So there are what is lacked is the information available. There's an inequity in having access to information and banking resources in order to make that come to fruition. But I do want to commend also the PRISM organization, which through Commissioner Bradshaw, they were spearheading a Memorial Drive economic development plan as well. So there are local leaders, there is local, not referendums, but proposals in place to help us bring economic development to our communities. What I didn't see is any state representative present and willing to put in the work and help support these local initiatives, especially when we can put forth legislation for state designations to make sure we are bringing in these businesses to improve development in these areas.
Thank you so much, Ladena. Thank you, ladies, for your answers. This next question actually kind of follows up on that one, but just more so from an actual bill perspective, and we will have that read by Dijon.
Thank you so much for that, Cindy. CBS Sunday Morning did a piece on the Dollar General stores in South DeKalb. The lack of food, fresh food, leads to obesity and other health issues. What type of bill could you introduce to the floor that will encourage economic development and increase access to healthy, quality food? And I'm going to start with Joscelyn O'Neill, House District 86.
Yes, thank you, Mr. DeCosta. We have a proliferation of stores that don't have fresh foods. We have the frozen departments in some of the stores, the Family Dollars, the Dollar Trees, and they are close in the neighborhood, so that's where most people go because it's close. Many people don't have the transportation to go out. A bill to not force, but require that the stores put better quality foods and in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Zulma Lopez.
Thank you. I think part of this issue is continue to support education and job opportunities for our students who are going to be our next workforce. When a business is making a decision on whether to open up a business in a particular community, they are looking at the educational background of the people that live in that community. They're looking at their income levels. And so those are unfortunately the decisions that we see on our back end of the types of businesses that are popping in our community. I do believe that we need to make a better job as continuing to promote prosperity within our community so that we can have better access to great, not only big chain businesses, but mom and pops that can bring that fresh food that we really need, and in particular in the south part of District 86.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Lopez. Representative Michelle Henson.
Sorry, I had to get unmuted. There isn't a piece of legislation that we can pass and bring better grocery stores into an area. Regarding the Dollar General, Department of Agriculture did increase the number of inspectors that they have because in order to go into those stores and to inspect everything. And education is critical. And we go back to that repeatedly. I had quite a few discussions with Governor Deal when he was still our governor. And why won't you bring economic development to South DeKalb? And he went back to education, and I went back to, we need these jobs, we need all of this, and he kept cycling back to education. We need to be able to get more participation by people in the schools, help to train our children better. That will bring the jobs down there, that will bring the companies down there, that will bring the better stores. And that's a big ask, but that's an ask on the backs of all of us as citizens, on all of our elected officials to work together to help improve South DeKalb. It's really, but we all need to be in there and we all need to be doing it together.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ladena Bolton.
I like the words that were spoken by the other candidates. Those were great suggestions. But while we're working toward bringing more fresh food grocery stores into our communities, another way around that issue is through transportation. Expanding transportation, public transportation through MARTA, we can make sure that those grocery stores with the fresh food are accessible to the folks in this community. Not just having it in the vicinity, but make sure the transportation is accessible. Also, I want to say we can have a statewide initiative similar to the one that under the leadership of Mrs. Michelle Obama. There wasn't legislation in place, however, she did put forth an initiative to address the issue of obesity countrywide, and that's something that can be modeled statewide, especially with the DeKalb County School Board delivering really healthy meals to our students 7 days a week. They've laid the foundation for it, and we can build upon that through our local and state leadership, build upon what the school district is already doing and has already done.
Thank you so much. We're going to move along to House District 84, and we're going to start with Representative Shannon.
Yes, so the first line of defense for this question about the large amount of Dollar Tree and Dollar General and dollar stores that are specifically in South DeKalb, which is the most specific issue that I think is pressing when we talk about this, is dealt with at the local level. We should have counties and cities regulating, doing a better job of working on zoning to make sure that these stores cannot just pop up wherever they want to and become concentrated in an area. As far as on the state level, again, because Georgia has consistently promoted itself to be the number one place to do business, Georgia is going after businesses. And I really think when we talk about everything from environmental jobs to this issue of having more grocery stores that are affordable, the state can go after more diversified business to bring into the state. Right now, it is sort of a free-for-all where if you want to set up any type of business and do whatever you want when you get here, including paying very low wages to workers, you're allowed to. And I do think that is one of the reasons why we're the number one state to do business, and we need more focus on, is this the number one state for folks to actually live? So there's that, and I also agree with expanding transportation so that we are not making it impossible for folks to have choices about where they want to shop as far as being able to get food that is healthy and fresh for them.
Thank you so much. Ms. Codi?
much draft a zoning ordinance to make sure that we don't have any more of those nuisance businesses. That's how I call them, because I believe just the influx of their presence decrease of property values. And when a feasibility is done to bring these businesses into our communities, it's really because they realize that they can actually make money because there's a demand for what's being, sold in these stores. So DeKalb County by itself can actually abate the degree or the number of these businesses being created every year. There was an article recently in the paper that talked about that because of food deserts and whatnot. But even though we have grocery store, especially in my community, you can have two grocery stores back to back, but you have the main anchor store in a different side of the street is a dollar store. So yeah, DeKalb County can do that. It doesn't really have to go to the state to be taken care of. An ordinance, county ordinance can take care of that.
Thank you so much. And now we'll move along to House District 83. And we're going to start with Ms. Maloof.
Thank you for this question. And I do have an idea, but I don't know specifically how I would form this in legislation, and that can be, I'm happy to share my ideas with that at a later time. But expanding, supporting our community, supporting local businesses, and supporting Georgia farmers by creating farmers markets on the weekend that offer credit, double credit for EBT. So double the value for people who rely on EBT credit to purchase food. So they're in there, they're able to support local growers who are growing fresh food and produce. We've seen it work, but we're seeing it work in areas where it's appreciated, but not a necessity. I would love to see it implemented in areas that are food deserts, specifically in DeKalb County, and can be accessed via public transit.
Thank you so much. Representative Becky Evans.
For EBT, for fresh foods, I think that's a good idea. And I am in the same situation where, as far as I would need to listen to farmers, urban farmers perhaps, and see if there are ways that the state can help incentivize urban farms and to help them out, maybe some type of tax credit. I'm not sure, but I'd want to listen and learn from them. And also, I just really believe that collaboration between our schools and the county and our communities to encourage gardening in our schools and to encourage, families knowing how to grow this food and how to and enjoying the taste of this fresh food. I think that would be important. One other thing is I would also just want to make sure that we allowed local control, that local counties could make these zoning decisions about eliminating dollar stores. So I would want to make sure that we didn't have any preemption laws at the state level that would not allow local control on this matter.
Thank you so much. And we're going to finish with my questions. We're going to move along to Parker with public transportation.
Hello, everyone. One huge driver of inequality is housing and public transportation. Urban sprawl and poor city planning largely cause a lot of the Metro Atlanta's traffic problems. How should the state address the issues of affordable and equitable housing and transportation in a sustainable way? We're going to begin with Representative Evans in House District 83.
Great. Well, for transit, I absolutely do believe that access to reliable transit is definitely a barrier for economic mobility. And I do support the state funding capital improvements in transit. And we were very close, and we still have a chance in this legislative session to pass a bill that would allow a small fee tax on Uber and Lyft that would be dedicated to transit funding. And DeKalb has some projects that are like shovel ready that we could be eligible for some of that. So I also do support, this isn't really at the state level, but the idea of density at equitable, equitable transportation development and having density near transit centers. And I think that Candler Road corridor, if we were to ever to get rapid transit in that area, would be, that'd be very exciting to have some, and of course that would take the community's input, and you need to have the zoning to go with that. But those are two things. So I do support the DeKalb transit plan, and I want to work with the county and the community to see how we can get that implemented. And I want to fight with the state to help fund the capital, some of the capital improvements there.
Thank you, Representative Evans. We're going to move to Audrey Maloof.
I also support the DeKalb transit plan, and I do want to bring up my late cousin Manuel Maloof was on the forefront of bringing transit into DeKalb County and making it an accessible area. And I want to build on that legacy and bring in a modern approach to it where we support things like light rail with MARTA or ATL now. And we make sure that there's funding in place for these building options, especially around light rail. It is one of the most accessible ways to get around, and we see other cities across the country that have great public transit systems, and we need to stop bringing the excuses to the table, because we can be on the forefront of expanding our mass transit in the modern era.
Thank you. We're going to move to House District 84 and start with Harmel Codi. You are on mute.
Okay. I strongly support public transit in DeKalb County. A metropolis like DeKalb County / Atlanta should have everything like New York and DC area. One of the reasons why Emory is no longer part of DeKalb County is because of, one of the reasons is because of transit. So I believe, I don't have all the answers. I don't have, the play-by-play solution for this, but I strongly support that initiative.
Thank you. We're going to move to Representative Shannon.
Yes, the current transit that we do have throughout the state, well, in the metro area and specifically in DeKalb, is really hard to use. There are a lot of MARTA stations where you pretty much have to get in your car, drive to the station, and park in order just to ride MARTA. So I definitely think that that is not something that you would call any type of mass transit. So I definitely support bringing real transit to DeKalb, and specifically in South DeKalb. One of the issues that is driving issues like cityhood in DeKalb is because folks are tired of seeing a lack of businesses in South DeKalb. And so I think that really bringing true mass transit for DeKalb will assist in a lot of issues, like being able to get more businesses to be spread out in proportionate ways within the county, as well as actually having an impact on environmental issues, as well as economic issues. So this is a move that, I'm hoping that the ATL transit districts that were set up in the last couple of years will actually quickly get us to the point where we actually can say we have mass transit in the state.
Thank you, Representative Shannon. Now we're going to move to House District 86 and start with Dr. Bolton.
Thank you. I agree with what was said about the centralizing the urban transportation systems right here, the ATL, rebranded as the ATL. But we also have to consider that DeKalb County was working to receive federal funds, in which we will receive them by 2024, to expand MARTA and build a community around MARTA. There was a resolution in 2018 put forward by the General Assembly pushing or urging MARTA to go ahead and build going east, as they have previously said that they would do. So the expansion of MARTA, as well as centralizing the Metro Atlanta transportation system, is two ways, or two first steps in getting us in that direction. However, I want to also mention that after 2010, after the mortgage crisis in 2010, the DeKalb Housing Authority and organizations like Atlantica Properties put forth fair housing initiatives where this organization and others like it, they bought those decrepit properties, those properties that were left behind because folks couldn't afford them anymore. They put renters in there in the hopes of transitioning them into homeowners. So this is their fair housing plan. We're going through a similar problem because of the pandemic where many families are being displaced, 13% displacement. So we should support organizations and local authorities like DeKalb County who are still pursuing those initiatives to make sure we have fair housing opportunities for families, because MARTA and all of these transportation, urban transportation programs go right through our communities. So putting them together is the best step forward to address this issue.
Thank you, Dr. Bolton. We're going to move to Representative Henson.
I think
we'll give
her some time.
A moment.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we'll move to Zulma Lopez.
Michelle, are you there? Okay, we'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and Zoom.
I agree we need more connectivity. Our population keep growing at an exponential rate, and the decisions that businesses and families are making, whether to move here, are based on one of the factors is this, that we are not, we can simply not sit in traffic for hours, and we have to have a better way to get from our jobs, from our homes to our jobs. I definitely will be in support of creating better connectivity and creative ways into building more connectivity within our communities.
Thank you, Zulma. We're gonna give Michelle Henson the opportunity to answer the question again. This is in regard to a driver of inequality in housing and public transportation. Urban sprawl and poor city planning largely cause the metro Atlanta traffic problems. How should the state address this issue in an affordable and equitable way?
I'm having a cell phone. Can you hear me?
And this.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is something we should have addressed 20 and 30 years ago when it all started, and we wouldn't put money into our public transportation system. We're one of the few states in the nation that doesn't fund our public transportation. I think it's essential that we do it. I also think that it should be a regional transportation plan so that we can move people around. I support the ideas of, sorry, I'm losing my words here, but having at your stations, having livable LCIs. I think that would be an excellent way to go about it. But we really need to do something. There's just no question about it, and it's very problematic, and it's going to take a lot of work to come to it, to bring the regional component, to bring the state component in. These are things that we allocated money for, and it hasn't happened yet. And that's it really bothers me a lot that we don't, and that I haven't been able to see progress, even though the money's been allocated for things.
Thank you.
We're going to have our final question for giving Joscelyn an opportunity. Ms. Joscelyn O'Neill?
Yes, I'm here. I would like to say that we're going to have to expand our railing system, light rail or whatever we need to do all the way to the eastern part of the way to Stonecrest, because if you're driving on 20 coming into the city, it's bumper to bumper every day. Right now there's a nice little break with the COVID-19, but it's going to change again. And some of these major companies that move into our areas, into Metro Atlanta, they get these major tax breaks for 20 years and 30 years, but they come in, yes, our people, but those tax dollars, we need them. Just like we pay the tax dollars, some of these major companies need to be reinvesting in some of our communities. And they've gotten away with it for a long time. It's the good deal. We'll give you the tax break. But as our county and our district and our state grows, and everybody's moving to Metro Atlanta, DeKalb County, we're overpopulated, but we can't continue to give these breaks, and we cannot continue to not expand our railing system to the eastern part of South DeKalb, because where the MARTA goes, that's where the mortar goes. They build these major companies on the north side of Metro Atlanta and DeKalb County, and we have to.
Thank you so much. We're at time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Parker?
That is all for those questions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies. I believe we're going into round 2 yes or no questions, and we're going to start with.
Yeah, so awesome. Thank you so much. So we are right at time. So we're going to we'll rush through these. These are yes or no questions. We are going to pare them down to just 2 because of time, and then you guys will give your closing statements. So these are just straightforward yes or no. All right. So the first one is about education. The Dual Enrollment Act, which is House Bill 444, would limit the number of dual enrollment credits to only 30. These, their credit classes will be deduced, or I guess that should say reduced, the maximum allowed under HOPE. Do you agree with the passing of House Bill 444? Yes or no? And sorry if I kind of butchered that, but you guys get the gist of it. We will start, we'll go opposite this time. We will start with Audrey Maloof.
As the only candidate in this race who has been a dual enrollment student in Georgia, I would not support reducing it in any way.
Thank you. Becky Evans? Just yes or no? Is she?
That was a yes or no question.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so basically, do you support House Bill 444?
No, I do not. Yeah, I do not support that bill.
Thank you.
And I did not vote for it. It's on my record.
Thank you. And now we'll have Rep. Shannon.
No.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Not Rep, but Harmel Codi? Not yet. Sorry about that, Paul. Codi? Harmel, are you there?
Yeah, no.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Ladena Bolton?
No.
Rep. Michelle Henson?
No.
Thank you. Oh, cute dog. Zulma Lopez?
No.
And Joscelyn O'Neill?
No.
Thank you. The second one is the hate crime bill. So House Bill 426. In summary, it seeks to enhance the punishment of criminals that choose their victims based on biases, such as race, sex, gender, religion, and it goes on from there. Do you agree with the passing of House Bill 426? Yes or no? We will start with Rep. Shannon.
Yes.
Harmel Codi.
Yes.
Joscelyn O'Neill.
Yes.
Zulma Lopez.
Yes.
Michelle Henson.
Yes.
Ladena Bolton.
Yes.
Audrey Maloof.
Yes.
And Becky Evans.
Yes.
Well, great job. Y'all are on like one accord with both of those. That's good. So our last one was on budget. So I do ask that you guys just go to our Facebook page and just give us feedback on the budget. Just tell us what is important to you, what isn't important to you, what you feel should be included. And we will close out now with your closing statements. We will start with House District 86, and we will start with Joscelyn O'Neill. And you have 1 minute. Please try to keep it short.
I didn't get all of your question, but
yeah, so just this is your closing statement. So just give us your best shot at just why you should be our rep in House District 86.
Joscelyn O'Neill, the real deal. I'm on the ground. I work with the children. I work with the community. I work in education. I work with the law enforcement. I'm very familiar with what goes on in Southeast DeKalb, some of the issues in the northern part of DeKalb. When we sit down and discuss the things that we need to do, it's not that hard. Many of the laws and bills are already in place. They just need to be enforced. And I'm an enforcer, and I'm the real deal, Joscelyn O'Neill.
Thank you. Now we will have Zulma Lopez.
Well, thank you so much for hosting. I know it's late. I want to say that I look forward to continue this conversation, and I welcome your questions. You can find me at www.zulmaforgeorgia.com or in social media. I am a parent, and I have been a long-term supporter of our DeKalb Public Schools. I am an immigration attorney, and I am a small business owner, which qualifies me and makes me the more well-rounded candidate in this race to tackle the issues that affect not only our district, but the state in general. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now we will have Rep. Michelle Henson.
Thank you. And first I want to apologize for my dog, but he's diabetic and we're getting to a time he needs his insulin. Now, we'll talk with the answer question. These are very, very challenging times. They're unprecedented times. And I have wonderful committee assignments, and one of them is probably one of the most critical that we have, and that's appropriations. And I earned the right to be on that and to participate in it. I'm also on health and human services and on economic development and small business. These are all committees that will have legislation go through them as we find our way out of the recession that's being caused by COVID. This is not the time for on-the-job training. It's a time for helping someone to stay in for the next 2 years and to work within the system that we have down at the legislature and to bring the dollars that we need to DeKalb, the legislation that we need, and good common sense.
Thank you so
much. And I can work, I have worked cooperatively with all folks. And I would like to earn your support and your vote.
Thank you so much. And now we'll have Dr. Ladena Bolton.
Thank you again, guys, for having us. Again, I am Dr. Ladena Bolton. I'm the proud wife of an educator, the mother of 3 boys. I'm an award-winning chemist, but I'm also the daughter of a military veteran. So I'm a very well-rounded candidate, one who is from this community, who is energized with fresh perspectives to represent this community. I'm very responsive, so if you would like to continue this conversation, please email me at joinus@boltonfordecab.com, and that's for F-O-R. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Bolton for DeKalb, and my website is boltonfordecab.com. So remember, starting today through June 9th, vote Bolton for State Representative of District 86.
Thank you, Doctor. So now we'll have House District 84, Rep. Renitta Shannon.
Thank you, everybody, for having me tonight. It's been a pleasure to be here, and it's been a pleasure to represent House District 84. I'm asking you to re-elect me because I have proven in the time that I've been elected that it is possible to fight like hell for progressive issues and also actually have get tangible results, all while serving in the minority. And for that reason, that is a reason that almost all the advocacy organizations have endorsed me, including Leader Stacey Abrams. And so I'm asking that you would allow me to continue to do my work fighting for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll have Harmel Codi. Harmel.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm grateful that you to be a part of this forum tonight. President Roosevelt said, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much. Crafting, having knowledge and ability to recite policies is great, but policies are about people and their lives, and as well as having a degree of compassion and empathy for their needs. And if the people cannot match your word with your deed, then it is about self-service. I'm running because I am the person that has been in this community, and we are tired of representation. We know they exist, we don't see it. We haven't seen our state representative in 4 years since the last time she came to the district to get votes. So I am that person. I'm not a carpetbagger. I know this community well. It's governed, its intricacies. I've been there through the ups and downs, and I am looking forward to representing this district. A vote for me is a vote for progress and result. HarmelCodi.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll have House District 83, who will have Audrey Maloof.
Thank you so much. I decided to run for this seat because I believe that we are not getting enough out of our representation. This seat is not owned by anyone, it is rented, and as a solidly blue district, the people of District 83 deserve to have a choice in who they are renting to. Our voices have power and influence, and because of that, we must use them to speak up and speak out. I want the people of this district to know that I will never shy away from doing just that. We need to be loud about the things that are important to us. I do not take this role lightly. It is not just a title, it is a duty. I am ready to represent this district with all of the fearless passion it deserves. When elected, I will make sure that we are the leaders at the forefront of progressive policies. This county has been my home for my entire life, and this district raised me. It would be the greatest honor of my life to earn your vote on June 9th, and for these reasons, I have the support of a community behind me, including the Honorable Congressman John Lewis, who is endorsing my candidacy, and I just want to thank DeKalb Young Democrats so much for hosting this forum. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Audrey. And lastly, we will have Rep. Becky Evans.
Point margin over a 16-year incumbent, and it has been my honor and privilege to serve. I also am so grateful to have the endorsements of Georgia Sierra Club, Georgia Equality, Georgia Windlist, Planned Parenthood Southeast Advocates, the Georgia Association of Educators, and the Moms Demand Action Gun Sense distinction. I value the work of the DeKalb Young Democrats and the relationships that we have built. We have the power to impact our future, and we are doing something about it. For more information, reach out to me at Instagram, Becky Evans GA, Facebook, Becky Evans for Georgia House, and my website, beckyevans.com. I humbly ask for your support and your vote to return to the state capitol as our state representative on June 9th. I look forward to continuing to build a better Georgia together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you. And so just to close out, just thank you everyone for being here again. Just to have this all-women group is just so uplifting and it's so great. So everyone did a great job, and just thank you for just running for this. You definitely all are inspirations to all of us. That concludes our debate, and we just want to remind everyone that the primary is on June 9th. Early voting has started, and you are able to vote as early as tomorrow. So voting has started. So please remember to vote. It is your voice, and you have to use it. Please visit DeKalbYoungDems.com, subscribe to our newsletter, and follow us on social media, Facebook.com/DeKalb Young Democrats, Instagram.com/DeKalb Young Dems, and Twitter.com/DeKalb Young Dems. Thank y'all all again, and everyone have a wonderful night. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.